Hello, I am Alex Barrera, aka Moss McGrady Online, and this week I will be piloting Boros, more specifically a Brozek Boros from last season, 2 seasons ago actually. Um, I tried to play this deck last week, but I had some trouble with the video feed, and there was a bunch of things going on with graduation and such, so I had to actually leave the tournament early. But I have been practicing it and tuning it, and I'm ready to bring it this week. So you guys can check it out and see if there's a new deck on the block that you might want to try out. Um, Basically, the original deck was made by Brozak, who top aided GP Oakland, and he just basically took the idea of like a burn deck with Lightning Bolt and Searing Blaze, Goblin Guide, Shard Volley, etc., and decided to add the landfall mechanic of Plated GOP, Zektar Shrine, and Step Links. And basically, the whole deck kind of revolves around making these guys Step Links and GOP'd as big as possible and triggering your Zektar Shrines as fast as possible. So you do that basically with the Arid Mesas, Marsh Flats, which most people are familiar with from Standard and fetch lands. They provide 2 landfall triggers. But then you have kind of this extra layer of landfall, which revolves around Flagstones of Trakar, which basically says when it leaves play, or I mean when it goes to the graveyard, you search for a land, a plains, and then since it's a legendary land, when you have 2 in play, they both legend rule each other out, letting you to search 2 more lands, giving you 3 landfall triggers in one turn. That's specifically important for Zektar Shrine Expedition, which takes 3 counters. So, I mean, 1 Flagstone's in play, playing 1 the next turn, you trigger your Zektar Shrine immediately. Another thing that has synergy with the Flagstones is the Ghost Quarter. The Ghost Quarter is used to basically act like as a pseudo Flagstones because it comes into play, gives you 1 trigger, then you target the Flagstones, getting a trigger from the Flagstones and a trigger from the Ghost Quarter, because Ghost Quarter says you destroy a land and then that controller gets to search for a basic land. So it basically works kind of the same way, giving you 3 triggers, which is specifically important for the Zektar Shrine. It's kind of like the gimmick of the deck is the Zektar Shrine, triggering that super fast, giving you a huge ball lightning at incredibly early points in the game. So then you also have obviously Step Links, which just gets really big with all these different landfall abilities. Plated GOP, same thing. And then Goblin Guide is just Goblin Guide. I mean, obviously, I don't think I really need to explain how potent this guy is. He just goes 2, 4, 6, 8, right? Just kills you. Lightning Bolt is staple. I mean, it's the most efficient burn spell in Magic. 3 damage for 1 red mana. Lightning Helix is particularly good because after reading and talking with Patrick Sullivan about burn, he's such a master at burn, and burn and just playing an aggressive deck like this is all about Lightning Helix because it's all about lightning bolts and healing salves, and Lightning Helix encompasses both of them in 1 card. So you go up 3, they go down 3. 6-point life swing is pretty good. Shard Volley also has synergy with the Flagstones of Trakar. Um, Shard Volley is kind of like your bolt number 5, 6, and 7. Um, it's just a good card. I mean, 1 red mana for 3 damage, and you're trying to do it so you can get value out of your Flagstones. When testing, I also found this important because sometimes with so many fetches and you're kind of killing your lands off, you often run out of fetch targets. I mean, it doesn't happen too often, but the fact that you have a Shard Volley and you can just kind of like pitch an extra Marsh Flash or Arid Mesa that you know isn't gonna get fetched for because there's no more basic lands or any type of land for you to get. The deck should probably have fuller Scalding Towers and 4 Arid Mesas, but it's budget obviously, and it's a free tournament, and I didn't want to pay $20 for a set of fetches when the Marsh Flats kind of in a sense, are basically the same thing. I mean, you can't get a mountain, but so you're kind of forced to get Sacred Foundry or Plains. But I mean, I think it's fine. It hasn't really messed me over too much. Path to Exile is just the best removal spell I think in this format. You can't get any more mana efficient. Obviously, 1 mana to exile a creature is ridiculously broke. I mean, it's it's good in this deck also because you wouldn't even want a card like Condemn or Swords because you don't want them getting life. It's Healing Salves, Lightning Bolts, right? You don't want to give them Healing Salves. Hellspark is something I added myself because I felt like before when it had Searing Blazes, it had four. I think it had 4 Searing Blazes and something else that I just didn't think I really wanted. And I think Hellspark is just really good because it just gives you something to do. I often found that I didn't have anything to do later in the game because I would either run out of gas or, I mean, Goblin Guy's not the best at keeping them off of card advantage, and I just thought that Hellspark was kind of a good extra 3 damage, with the Unearth ability to kind of round out games for me, and he just gave my deck kind of an inherent card advantage. I mean, Unearth is just, I think, like, I love the Unearth ability itself. It just gives you, it's kind of like flashback for creatures. It's just so good. Jotun Grunt, I added one more. It was supposed to be one main, one side, but I found like I was saying earlier, with how my mana base was, and without the Scalding Tarns, that I was running out of fetches for my guys, my lands. And Jotun Grunt actually is pretty good at just bottoming those lands and letting you go search for them again. So he keeps the landfall going, and he's a big beater, and he shrinks Goyf if that's ever relevant. And good against Living End, I mean, he's just taking cards out of their deck, out of their graveyard. And yeah, he's just all sorts of fun. And then I have the 2 Searing Blazes. I really don't want like Searing Blaze main deck in this format because of how much combo there is and how much just like non-creature decks there are with like you have the 12 post deck, you have Dragonstorm, Living Ends, a bunch of decks that this card is not like always gonna be crucial. You're not always gonna have a target, and yeah, I mean obviously 99% of the time, or like not 99%, but like a lot of the time, I would say like 70% of your matchups, you're gonna be able to have a Searing Blaze trigger. I mean against elves, mono red, against affinity, against any type of zoo deck, it's obviously great. But I don't know. This is like a card that just hasn't done me right, hasn't done me well in the past. So I cut 2 of them and put them to the sideboard because I just don't like having cards that sometimes they just don't do anything. But it's a great card. I mean, if you have a way to utilize it, it's going to do 6 damage total for 2 mana, which is insane. The sideboard is to disenchant. Primarily there because I just want a way to deal with some enchantment, like something crazy, maybe like a Leyline, um, maybe Enduring Ideal. I don't know, something. I just wanted just 2 catch-all cards that would kill anything. And it's good against Affinity as well, and yeah, just kind of the reason why those are in there. Pillars are for elves, and just locks them down. They can't combo off with this in play, or they'll almost kill themselves. So, or they will kill themselves usually if they try. So I put Pillar in the board because it's good. It's also good against control decks with cheap spells. Like I haven't tested that much, but I think it seems good against like a Scape Shift type of deck. I mean, if they're going Rapid Growth, Ponder, Peer Through Depths, Preordain, and taking 2 every time, it's only going to take like a few of my guys to just rack up the last points of damage and kill them off, with me only taking like 4 to 6 damage because they have to kill you in one foul swoop. So it actually seems pretty good against Scape Shift as well. 2 Searing Blazes come in against aggro decks because it's just Stone Cold 2-for-1. They take 3, your guy dies. It's just really good. Smash the Smithereens. Now before, I talked to Sullivan, and I was really set on Shattering Spree because the Replicate is broke, and I just wanted to just wipe Affinity's board, or just, just destroy Affinity, like kill them flat out with Shattering Spree for like 5 or 4, whatever, And the thing that convinced me to run more Smash the Smithereens is when Sullivan was telling me that, um, you want to consistently be dealing damage, and against Affinity, you're only trying to hit like cranial plating or maybe like Ravager or Master of Ethereum. So like this is basically kind of like overkill, and it's not moving you ahead in the game. So I went with a Smash. I'll see how it goes. I still kept one Shattering Spree because I just think it's really good, and it can lead to a blowout late game, like if you top deck a Shattering Spree and just wipe their creatures and their cranial plating or something. The Sulfuric Vortex are against control and pesky life gain or whatever that may bring. Um, Traditionally, control decks have a hard time dealing with Sulfuric Vortex. It's kind of slow. It's 3 mana, so I didn't put it in the main, but it's a very solid card, and I probably should actually bump that up if I tune this a little more. But I really like Sulfuric Vortex. It's a great card. Volcanic Fallouts were, I guess, against maybe wizards and more specifically elves. Just a way to just wipe their board. Good against aggro decks as well. Some Pyroclasm effect. It can't be countered, and it also can give you that last 2 points of damage. So that's why you have Volcanic Fallouts in there. So the deck in general seems pretty solid. I mean, it has a fairly fast clock. It can kill you between turns 3 and 5, all while trying to disrupt you with cards like Path to Exile and Lightning Helix, etc. So hopefully it does me well. I'll be playing in the 9:30 a.m. tournament, bright and early, against the European squad. So we'll see how that goes. And that's it. Thank you.